You made this?
Feeling good, got some weed up in my wood, chasing dreams just like I should, letting go because I could. Used to have my...
Welcome back to another episode of JK Philly. Today we got Just Nuggets podcast. How you guys doing?
Good. How are you
Doing
doing?
well.
Awesome.
All's well.
Awesome. Yeah, so just like we kind of gave the rundown of how the show's going to go, we're just going to go over a few questions, and then we'll be out of your hair by then. But just wanted to start off with the episode of just like you guys giving an introduction of who you guys are for the fans, and just let them know what you guys do on your channel and stuff like that.
Yeah, of course. We're longtime Nuggets fans. My name is K. Kali on the podcast. We all kind of talk and we enjoy Nuggets fans. Nuggets basketball. Funny enough, we started championship year, so 2023. We had 2022, but officially launched in 2023. And first episode, we called it championship season. We just felt like we had the right team, the right chemistry, and it turned out to be a championship. So it's been a pleasure talking about Nuggets longtime fans from like Mick Nichols all the way down. So big fans.
Right. My name's just Janet. Kyle and K-Dot and Christopher's mother. And we always talk sports, believe it or not. They couldn't believe how much I was interested, and we had season tickets for a long time. So we're longtime Nuggets fans, and we enjoy talking about the Nuggets. So that's how we started the podcast.
Yeah, I mean, you guys kind of filled it in. Like we just, we took conversations we were having at the kitchen table and just put a mic in front of us and just been talking about the Nuggets, so we get like the raw emotion. Then it's fun to see how far your voices can go. I'm sure you guys are aware of it, just in talking about something you guys would do if there was no lights, no cameras, and no action. So Go Nuggets. For sure.
Well, yeah, that's definitely a great perspective. I love that. So yeah, let's just jump right into this. The biggest question I really want to start with, obviously recording on what's today's date, June 4th. We already know who the MVP is. We found out that it was going to be SGA. I personally, out of any other year, I thought that Jokic was deserving of it for this year. But my bias aside, I want to know how you guys feel, a little bit of fan, a little bit of like what the NBA actually is, of just like your rebuttal against him winning the MVP this year.
Dot, can I take this one?
Go ahead.
I mean, I think SGA deserved it. Let me start by saying that. If they could have said it was a co-MVP, I would have been here for it. However, dude's a center and averaged a triple-double. And there's going to be things when you look back 50 years from now, you look at the stats, like how I used to look at Oscar Robertson. I was like, wow, how did he average a triple-double? How did this center average a triple-double? And did it effortlessly. He had 60-20 games, and like he had a double, what do you call it, the double triple-double. So this man, he's a deity. It's like watching, the best player of one of the best players of all time right in front of our very eyes. So, I mean, I've seen people average 33 points and, score a bunch of buckets, but I've never seen somebody do that. So I'm happy for Shea. He can have it and I'll let them talk, but I know who I would have chose and voted for.
Mm-hmm.
Man, if I need to go with that take, I want to let you go second. But no, I think
or third.
The thing that I enjoy about watching Nikola every day, obviously, is how he makes his teams better. But I feel like in this season specifically was Nikola's best season ever. So I think the thing with the MVP is a lot of times it's trying to jump to the next person. I think with Giannis, he had 1-2 in a row. They're like, all right, can we give it to CP3? But they ended up giving it to Jokic, right? Because Jokic kind of took it at the end. Then as you all know, like Joel Embiid and his continuous growth to get to that MVP, he finally gets it a year where, the narrative was about who could get like when Shea wins this year, it's like, oh, best player on best team. When Jokic could have got it in 2023, then the criteria changes. So there's always this moving target with the MVP. So to Christoph's point, SGA beating us in Game 7 and potentially winning this NBA championship. When you look back on all the history of MVP, deserved. But of course, as Nuggets fans, we're always going to say Nikola for sure, especially this year.
Yeah. And my take is I wanted to talk about Embiid and Joker for to start. I'm from Pennsylvania, so originally I moved out here to Denver, and I've been a Denver fan for 33 years now. But I could see why. Embiid's great, and Shea's great, but when you make the stats that Joker has had and how he ascended into where he is, it's hard to say, like Christoph said, 30 years from now, you'll look back and you'll say, well, why didn't this man get the MVP that year? He was the best in the world. People say that he had all the stats that came, with triple doubles. That a center, is hard to get, and he plays like a guard. He plays like a forward. He plays like a center. He should have got it, but we're not, salty about it. We are unhappy about it. I am, at least I could say, but I thought he should have got it this year.
Yeah, and it's one of those things. It's disingenuous to assume, like when looking at the MVP award, only one guy is going to have an MVP caliber season. If they gave it to Jokic, they gave it to SGA. Both guys added their mind. I think a little bit of what you said, voter fatigue plus him being on the 68 win first seed is probably what elevated him a little more. Because even them years, there was that 3-year stretch where Jokic won the 2 and then Embiid won the 1, and I needed Embiid to get one MVP out of them 3 years, man. I didn't know which one it was going to be, but it'd have been a crime for me. And obviously I'm biased, but for that 3-year stretch that Embiid had, even with Jokic playing how he does, I'd have felt some type of way them 3 years, him not getting one. But Jokic he's going to be one of them guys. He's going to deserve it probably every year until he's done playing, and it's just going to be, what are the other guys around the league doing?
Yeah, to that point, we didn't expect him to win it this year because of the times he had already won like 2 in a row. I knew it was gonna be like he had to do the impossible, but he did do the impossible, so he got back in the conversation. I think that's why I said.
Yeah,
for sure. But as we move on, and I don't want to come off as like these questions are a little bit basic, but it's just Philly fans are just wanting to be curious about what true Nuggets fans care about and what they don't care about. I don't know if me and Kev share the same thing. I personally do not like Jamal Murray. I don't know why I don't like Jamal Murray. He's a very flashy guy. He's very athletic. He gets to the cup. I like his game overall, but he can be a ball hog at times. He can chuck up a lot of shots, and some of the times it just doesn't convert, and he's not going to be making winning plays all the time. I'm kind of just curious to see what your guys' true view is and if I'm just missing something.
You're missing something. He's our second. If Joker's first, Jamal's second. Just, if you saw him in the bubble, we used to call him Bubble Jamal because he has that elevate that level in the playoffs that he can get to. And he got to it many times. He had an injury, as you know, that stopped us from ascending, which we thought we were going to win back then. And we won it in 23. But Jamal's the heartbeat of the team in my mind when it comes to Joker. Joker is the leader. He's the commander. All of that, but no, Murray, no Joker, no Murray right now. And so I know some people think he's inconsistent. He's never been an all-star. I would have voted for him many times, but I that's my take on it. Jamal is one of the heartbeats of our team.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have much to add there. I think when it comes to Jamal, one of the things you have to admire with Jamal and Jokic is that 2-man game. It's just a thing of beauty. I remember Monty Williams talking to him. I think it was when Jamal was out and he was at the All-Star game. He's like, Jokic, that 2-man game is just different, right? And I think there's an opportunity with what they can do, especially with our new coach. Maybe we'll get into that a little bit too. But just like what they can do off that offense. And, you got AG playing, and he almost can play a point forward at times, that he was doing at least in this playoffs. I think that Jamal, when you really stack him up against a lot of guards in the NBA, you can always debate where he's at. But as far as when the going gets tough, he's going to get going. Yeah. I also think that this summer is a very critical summer for Jamal, because of what you're kind of saying. I don't know if Nuggets fandom, I would say some of them are getting really tired of Jamal Murray just because of the slow pace it takes for him to finally get going, right? They want to see him at that all-star level. They want to see him compete with the best guards in the West. And he doesn't necessarily do that, especially during the regular season. Mm-hmm. But when the going gets tough, like I said, it's hard not to enjoy Jamal Murray.
I mean, y'all didn't say it. We've had this nickname for him going back pre-bubble, and we've just been pushing it. He's been the Blue Mamba to us. Like, everybody calls him the Blue Arrow, but he has this level he can go to that not too many people in the association can get to. So this is our little internal thing. Jay's dad, and I call him the Blue Mamba. But
Yep.
I think you don't like Jamal Murray because you weren't a Nuggets fan in the bubble.
Mm.
It's hard when I hear like these new Nuggets fans that came on since they got good. They don't go back. They call it Ball Arena. We call it Pepsi Center. You know, like they're just new Nuggets fans. They don't understand that when we were down 3-1 or when they were down 3-1 and he did that spin move on Gobert, like sometimes I think about that more than the championship run. Like it's kind of crazy. Like the bubble in the championship run kind of they all mesh to one and become one championship to me, because like that was like peak fandom. I don't know if it was because it was COVID and the bubble and it was just like 2020 was chaotic, but the fact that man did that, I will personally never say a ill will. He's got to have this 27 up in the, I know it's a Nuggets big thing, like the 15 going in the Raptors. I think it should go 15 Anthony, 15 Jokic. That's just me. But 27 will be up there. Like it or not, he's a champion. Hopefully he gets another one, but we'll see. But I agree with Dot's point. This is a big summer for him because, you know, now he's getting circled internally.
Yeah, I'm a little more higher on Murray than Just, but it did seem, and it was a slight step, and I know he had injuries this year. It seemed like he took a slight step back in the regular season this year. And I also think, though, his inconsistency probably gets magnified a little more than it should because he's playing with one of the most consistent NBA players you've ever seen. Like Jokic, just his off in 82 games, Jokic might have 2-3 off nights all season. So when your teammate is one of the most consistent players we've ever seen, that spotlight's going to get even hotter. But I'm always going to say I will look past shortcomings in the regular season if you turn up like Jamal Murray does. I love dudes who are playoff performers, and whatever problems I have with him in the regular season, they disappear when he turns into a new animal every time you guys are in the playoffs. And I can forgive a lot of things if you turn up when the lights are the brightest.
It's the Blue Mamba.
For sure. Yeah, I definitely appreciate the other side of, I'm not watching Nuggets games. I see the games here and there. Of course, I'm seeing those clips where he's doing his 360 layups and he's dunking and people hitting clutch shots, hitting it wasn't the Lakers series or were they just a regular season with the Lakers and he just hit like back-to-back game winners on them. So I'm very aware of, what Jamal Murray can do when he is consistent and when he's hot. So definitely no disrespect to him, but I do want to jump in now because I feel like I have a lot to say, and I'm sure you guys do too, about the series against OKC in the playoffs. Obviously, we can talk about against the Clippers as well if you want to dive a little bit into that. The OKC series was just very mind-boggling to me in terms of it was really just showing me how dominant OKC was, but it was really exposing the Denver Nuggets, where I really didn't feel like they had a lot of holes in their defense of, what they could and couldn't do. So I kind of just want to get your guys' take of what were your key takeaways from that series?
I'll take this one first. I think it's a homer pick, I guess. You could say that. If the Nuggets had a bench, there's a world in which they take out OKC in 5 or 6 games. Mm-hmm. You can just look at it. And I was beating this drum on our pod. Can go back and listen to the episodes right now if you like. That they need to win every close game. And I knew the series was going to be very much so over or close to over when they lost game. What was that, game 4?
4.
They lost game 4, and he got no help. And when I say Jokic got no help down the stretch. I think they went 1 for 12 in the fourth quarter, the other starters. And it goes back to just how they were constructed. In game 5, they have him on the ropes on the road, and that's the Lou Dort game. He has 9 points. They have him on the rope. If he gets any help, like you saw in game 6 when Julian Strawther steps up, they win that game. Mm-hmm. So there's 2 games that were right on the fringes. And if he had someone else just to step up with them, and Jamal was there with them. Jamal had a good series. MPJ, I could point the finger. But Aaron Gordon, he played his butt off until the point his hamstring, just gave out on him. You could say it was a dirty play. I know a lot of people in Nuggets Nation did and do, but I'll let them have that. I think they would have, and as you've seen as the playoffs have gone on, not too many teams are sticking with them. And they played close games. And if in 20 years from now, I know I keep jumping into the future, and you look back and OKC looks back and they're like, well, looking at their championship, they're like, Denver taught us how to win. And I hate being that team. I hate the we taught you how to win being on that side of it. But like at the end of the day, like we pushed them to 7 games and everybody else is like happy to get 1 off of them. So, and that's a shot at Minnesota. So when you talk to the Minnesota people, let them know that it's no love lost here.
No, we just talked to them last night, actually.
Okay, bet.
Yeah.
I'll check out. I have to hear what they had to say
For
because
sure.
we got a ring. They wanted to beat us. That was their season, was beating us last season. And congrats. So good for y'all.
Well, you mentioned defense, okay? I think the NBA allowed them to play defense, like they were playing football, really, to me. Caruso was all over Joker. I mean, the only thing he didn't do was hang on his back and ride down the court with them. It was terrible, but I understand that. I think the NBA wanted to have more defense. Maybe they got tired of 3-point shooting or offense or whatever it was, but they allowed OKC to play any kind of defense. And then when you become a defensive team and you're known for it, people think that you can do anything you want to, I guess, but you can't do it to Shea. You cannot with there. You're at the line. You're in foul trouble. He's at the line. They're in foul trouble. So yes, they have a great defense. They're a swarming defensive team, but we were able to get the 7 games on that swarming defensive team with Caruso hanging all over and Dort being a linebacker and everybody else. So, I'm not salty about it, but I'm just telling you the truth the way I see it as a Nuggets fan.
Christoph kind of alluded to it. This series has to be looked at like last offseason, right? Because we had a GM by the name of Calvin Booth, as you all know, was a public firing between Calvin Booth and Coach Malone. Calvin Booth didn't make enough moves in the offseason to get us even a chance to play OKC. I remember the first episode of last year, we said who's going to win the West. Obviously as Nuggets fans, you want to say the Nuggets are going to win. But I said the toughest team that's going to beat us is going to be OKC. The only difference if we can even beat OKC is who do we get at the trade deadline? I was hoping that we got anybody. We made 0 trades at the deadline. So you go into the playoffs, Mike Malone gets fired. As I said, Calvin Booth's finally gone. We knew that we could probably beat the Clippers, as you kind of mentioned, but we knew that the series is going to be tough against OKC. You get into the OKC, Nuggets are playing great basketball. AG's balling out. Nicola's getting 40-20 game or something first game. We're 2-1. We dropped those 2 at home. I think one at home, 1 in theirs. And that's when the series was over. And then not to mention MPJ's hurt, and then Jamal ended up having the flu. So like our team was hanging on by a thread. But as Christoph said, we're the only teams that have taken them to Game 7 this whole series. And OKC is a great team.
I was talking with a buddy earlier, and I said I thought I think the Thunder will beat the Pacers in 5 games. And I've already said I think they beat the best team in the playoffs other than them already, talking about the Nuggets. I agree with what you said, though. I think the difference was the Thunder are probably the deepest team in the NBA. You got Alex Caruso on there, great defender. You take him off, put Lou Dort on there, great defender. There's almost no fall off. And you talk about the Nuggets not making any moves. They obviously have the star power up top to go, band for band with them, with Jokic and Murray. But I was just saying to the Minnesota guys last night, and I'll repeat it, it's really not in the NBA today. It's not about if you have the 2 best players. It's, do you have the best 6 or 7 or 8 players now? It's not like you can just have LeBron and walk to a championship anymore. Your team's got to be deep. And I think that's ultimately the only difference between those 2 teams, and obviously losing Aaron Gordon. Well, not losing him. He was out there playing, but to say that was Aaron Gordon, it would be disingenuous because that man was, if it wasn't Game 7 of the playoffs, he wouldn't have been out there playing basketball.
He still had a better Game 7 than Michael Porter Jr.
Right.
Absolutely.
Oh my, we said that too. I mean, we had a one-arm, MPJ, we had AG got hurt, and Maul had the flu, and they all were out there, and we were worn out from playing 7-game series,
Right.
So
Clippers, yeah.
it all made a difference.
Your point about Michael Porter Jr., I think he's another name that you might see getting moved around this offseason just because of his inconsistencies about getting prepared for playoffs. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there too.
Yeah, talking about Murray's inconsistencies, Michael Porter Jr. is way more inconsistent.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. MPJ's a champion, and he had 7 points in Game 7, and I said I would against Minnesota, and I said, okay, I'm gonna let him off the hook. It's all good. Fast forward 1 year, Game 7 versus OKC, he has 6 points. So
Yeah.
Dude can go.
Yeah, it's a little bit unfortunate. It was kind of not. It was definitely not the same type of series with Minnesota, because Minnesota, they were able to get their open looks, and their role players just sucked this year, and that's really what it came down to. And Denver was really the only team that competed with them, like you guys said, and took them to 7 on one leg and on one arm. And if it was any other way, if one of those guys was still healthy and consistent, it would have been completely different.
No bench.
I know.
Yeah, I like the I forget his name. I think it's Peyton Watson.
Watson good.
P-Watt.
Yeah. I like his tenacity with the game. I wasn't really expecting a lot from him. Say again.
For the right price, he could be a Sixer.
Yeah, we gotta see with this Paul George situation, but we'll see what happens with that, man. But that's like I said, I wanted to keep it real short, not too long. But that's really all the questions I do have. I definitely do appreciate your guys' time. If there's anything that you guys got coming up on your YouTube channel or anything else that you guys post on, we'd love to hear it.
I mean, we're dropping, obviously going into season 4. We'll start talking Nuggets come summer league. We always try to break that down, and we'll be looking at Deron Holmes and see if he can be a backup to Jokic. But so far, I mean, just check us out on Twitter or YouTube.
For sure.
At Just Nuggets Pod.
Yep.
Yeah, we appreciate you, and thank you for all you do for Philadelphia fans. That's my second team. So
Thank you. We appreciate y'all time too.
Absolutely. Go Birds and go Nuggets.
Thank you guys for watching another episode of JK Philly. Make sure you stay tuned by subscribing to the channel.